think, I don't know. I think children are being exposed to.
But I mean, what's wrong with that though? I'm trying to understand.
I think you should protect kids' innocence, honestly. Like, because once you.
But what's not innocent about being transgender? I'm looking at his.
Oh, you're talking about transgender.
Because transgenderism is like, it's an anomaly, right? And it's like children.
It's not that much of an anomaly if we have to talk about it. Is my point though?
Yeah, but children. All right, so. But children shouldn't be taught about, in my personal point of view, shouldn't be taught about sex at a young age anyway. Especially not a sexual orientation that, in my personal point of view, is about confusion more so than sexual orientation. So it's like, are you trying to show children that this sexual orientation is quote unquote normal, where if we look at it, it's first of all, it's an anomaly. Second of all, they talk about it can be a.
But why does it matter whether or not?
Hang on, it can be looked at as a psychological or physiological, because they say gender dysphoria. Explaining to a 9-year-old child what gender dysphoria is, they don't know what gender dysphoria is. You don't have to do that
though. You could keep it simplistic. Is my point. You have to keep it kid friendly.
But the thing is, transgenderism isn't simplistic.
I swear to God, you're making it seem like it's far more complicated than it is. You can just say, here is someone who was born a boy. They don't feel comfortable being a boy. They don't feel like they're right in their body and in their mind. They feel more comfortable with playing with the girls.
Yeah.
They like playing with the dolls and the makeup and whatever it may be that.
Well, that's
exposing them to like mental issues at such a young age.
Yeah.
So you think being trans is a mental issue?
Of course it is. It's not a biological one.
You don't have to say of course. Yeah, take it down a notch.
No, but it's true. It's not a biological one. It's a mental one, right? If you think you're something that you're actually not, that's in your head.
Just like you think you're a 10 out of 10. What?
I never said that. You think you're an 11 out of 10, which is in your head. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're talking about something that isn't, if we can look in your body and we can see you have 2 testicles and a penis, we know what you are, right? If you think you are other than what you actually are, that's something going on in your head, right?
Because couldn't I identify as a teenager if I wanted to?
Trans age, they call it.
No, I'm serious. Like,
no, I've gone into this.
What if I said I feel 17?
Yeah.
I am 17.
Well, that would genuinely be something that you'd have to work with. And being someone who studies psych,
yeah,
that would more than likely be a trauma response. Because
so is transgenderism a trauma response?
I was not done speaking. People who struggle with their age, at least, right? Who still feel like they're stuck in their teen years or even childhood years, usually experience some sort of terrible trauma at that age in their life, and that's where they feel emotionally and physically stunted.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, maybe later on they still act a certain way for years.
But it's interesting because you're kind of saying like that's like a mental disorder a little
bit.
No,
I can say that with peace.
Yeah.
But
trans wouldn't be.
So trans wouldn't be.
I can't see it that way because
Why?
I'm someone who's part of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And I see how these people struggle and
but it's an emotional response.
Yes, it's a yes or no question.
It's a yes or no question. It's not a logical one.
It's a yes or no question.
Oh my God. Let's talk about the facts, not the feelings, please.
Guys, get along.
Let's talk about the facts, not the feelings. It's like.
Regardless, these things were removed from the DSM-5.
Yeah.
Being transgender. Gender dysphoria is still in there, I believe. Right. And they're working on the DSM-6, I believe. If not, it's already out. But it's difficult to pinpoint that as a mental illness, only because this is a whole... this is something that someone's willing to change their entire life for.
But I can change my entire life to be 17.
I mean, shit, you could try. You could try.
Hang on, Rachel Dolezal changed her entire life to be black.
Oh my gosh. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Right? She was head of the NAACP. And she was a white woman.
Yeah.
So just because she identifies or thought of herself as black doesn't mean that she is.
But that doesn't make these people any less human. I think that's what I'm trying to...
We're not talking... That's what I'm saying. You're talking from an emotional standpoint. I never said trans people or whoever you are less human. They are human beings. They deserve their rights as a human being. But it doesn't mean that what they're saying...
even respect their identity is the issue. So if a trans person
were to come to you... What do you mean respect their identity?
If somebody were to come to you right now, they were trans. They once were she, and became he, and you knew this, would you refer to them as what they are comfortable with or what they were originally born as?
I would refer to them as who they are, which is a man or a woman biologically, because what you're asking me to do essentially.
So then that's just disrespectful.
No, it's not
that's
disrespectful.
Blatant disregard.
No, I tell you what's disrespectful. What's disrespectful for me is to ask me to buy into your delusion. That's what I think is disrespectful. If I come up to you and say, listen, I know I'm a black man, but please call me Mei Ling because I'm now a Chinese woman. You're going to be like, all right, you're a Chinese. I'm a Chinese woman, really? And you've met me and you know me prior to me identifying as a Chinese woman. You're now going to call me Mei Ling. I'm now asking you to buy into my delusion. If I feel like this, that's 100% cool. But I shouldn't ask you to buy into what I think of myself. Because like I said, you think of yourself as a 11 out of 10. Right? If you went around asking people to call you an 11 out of 10, then that's just plain arrogant and egotistical. Because you're asking people. I
wouldn't do that though.
Right, but trans people do.
All I ask is basic respect.
No,
and
but
basic
trans people do. They ask people to call them the thing that they know that they actually aren't. Or the way they see themselves.
It's genuinely not that hard to just refer to them as she, her, or he, him as they ask, and by the name that they choose to go by. It's genuinely not that hard. My name is Francesca, right? But I go by Cheska. That is my preferred name.
Yeah.
All I have to do is tell you, hey, this is what I prefer to be called. Feel free to call me this.
Right.
And it would be up to you to call me Cheska. I would, like I said, I would prefer it. If you call me Francesca, I'm not going to respond because realistically, I don't like that name as much as Cheska. It's that simple.
Shooting in your name.
It's a respect thing. It's
not. Shooting in your name, is not the same as asking me to call you by a totally different gender.
Okay, so
there's no part of you that is that gender.
If they preferred a different name, even you wouldn't go with that.
If they preferred it, like I said, I'm not about to.
If they went with a different name,
I am not buying into someone's delusion.
Yes or no?
Say again.
It's really not that hard of a question. I
if
promise
they ask
you that.
if they ask me to call them a name.
If I came to you and I said, I prefer the name Richard, even though I clearly am not biologically male.
I'll be like, what do your parents call you?
Okay.
What did your parents name you?
You're not my parents, so you wouldn't have a right to call me
by
whatever.
You wouldn't
have the right
me to call you Richard.
You wouldn't have the right to call me by whatever my parents call me because my parents are different from you. You're just a 40-year-old man, okay? You're just a stranger that I see on the podcast.
Do not touch me now.
You're just a stranger that I see on a podcast.
So Cheska, like, okay. So I honestly, if I knew someone,
you know what we call that? We call that sign language over here.
If I knew someone that was trans, I probably would call them by their name, like just because they asked me to. But the issue I get is when we start letting people live in delusion, there's consequences.
Correct.
And I really do, on some level, think that it's delusional because you're saying you're something you're not.
But
and the problem is now we have Leah Thomas coming in.
Who's that?
Leah Thomas, the swimmer. The swimmer.
Okay.
And swimming in the women's division and taking away opportunities from women, like real biological women, because in my opinion, we started by letting them live in delusion.
Okay.
And it slowly got to the point that now actual real women are losing opportunities in athletics.
Right.
Okay.